Would you turn me on, please?
Yeah, now you are.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Sunday service, Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I am Frank Lange. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Sunday service. Let's take care of business. Cell phones, please. If you have any cell phones or other electronic devices, would you please turn them all the way off? And then take a moment to say hello to 2 or 3 people in your neighborhood. All right. Well, I know this is going to be a great day. Good things come to those who pray, huh? Okay, it is Thanksgiving holiday. I'm going to read from the frontispiece of the Science of Mind textbook. Looks like this, written by Ernest Holmes. When I opened it this year, I noticed, maybe the first time, his dedication. So I want to read that first. This is from Ernest. These lessons are dedicated to that truth which frees man from himself and sets him on the pathway of a new experience, which enables him to see through the mist the eternal and changeless reality. Okay, and so here's Ernest's invitation. It is called Peace Be Unto Thee, Stranger. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and be not afraid. I have left the gate open, and thou art welcome to my home. There is room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also. It sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. Will you please join me in the morning chant?
Are you ready to give thanks for this day? Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This soul is beautiful, this beautiful day. Put your hands together. Beautiful, this beautiful help. Thank you for my health, Spirit. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my health, Spirit. Thank you for my health. My radiant health. My radiant Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. For my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. My wonderful. Thank you for the autumn, Spirit. Thank you for the fall. For the autumn, thank you for the fall. This glorious fall. This glorious. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This beautiful day. This beautiful day. This beautiful day. This beautiful day. This one more time now. This beautiful day. This beautiful rain.
to join the caravan, to come into the comfort of the hearth, the comfort of the heart. I invite each and all to join with the energy, the consciousness of the one, universal life force, the source, the infinite, all that is. As I speak this word in affirmative prayer, I know that this one power, this one ceaseless, all-giving energy of life is giving itself to us and through us now for the benefit and blessing of all. It is indivisible, it is whole, it is perfect, and it expresses uniquely through each individual, each soul that has chosen this incarnation. And that great lineage that we partake of, the wisdom, the truth, the love everlasting. And I give such loving thanks for the presence of the divine here and now, in us, through us, offering itself in the beauty, the music, the message, and most of all, the love that we partake of. And what an exquisite blessing that no matter how much of this love we partake of, how much of it we share, there is always more. That is the nature of God, the nature of life. There is plenty. And it pours forth here and now into our receptive hearts. And I speak this word specifically this day for the blessing of our founding minister, knowing that he is tapped into the infinite as he speaks forth the message of this day. And I know that we are each partakers of truth, recipients of blessing. And this blessing just simply becomes more by our presence here today. And so I entrust this entire service to the infinite, to the love, to the truth, and know that each and all are uplifted in this consciousness, for that too is the nature of spirit. We ascend to a higher level of consciousness simply by being here today in this everlasting caravan, the upwelling of good. I give thanks. And releasing this word into its fulfillment with grace and ease and abundant blessings for all, I entrust it to the law of life that says yes and makes it so. And so it is. Amen.
Come, whoever you are, this caravan knows no come, whoever you are, whoever you are, worshiper, lover of living God, he made you broken house. Come, come, whoever you are, whoever you are.
And what a blessing it is for us to receive the gifts of spirit through our beloved musicians. Oh, we claim them as our own, and yet the world celebrates them as well. They are world-renowned. Our Bodhi and Krishna, Sechko and Mies, and Amanda. Thank you, bless you. welcome.
I dreamed of rain and the rain came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rain came, and spread over the land. I dreamed of summer and the wind changed, green was easy in the river and clear. I dreamed of summer and the wind changed, spread over the land. Flowers bloom in the desert, air is rushing clear. I dreamed of rain and the rain came, spread over the land. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose. The way was easy and the path was clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. Golden stars are shining, night is bright and clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, spread over the earth sang, the sound was easy, the sound was clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, peace spread over the land. Ancient pain is forgotten, I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rain came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rain came, peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rain came, peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rain came, and peace spread over the land.
Something might happen, so I decided, why not give this a chance? So here I am.
Okay. There we go. Good. Everybody's finding a seat? Excellent. Okay, good. I'm Reverend Carol Huntley. I'm very, very glad to welcome you today on this really, really special Sunday because it's Thanksgiving and we're all grateful. And it is the premiere of The Science of Earnest Mind a little bit later. I hope you all stay. Good. I'm having competition from the guitar. Before I welcome people who are here for the first time, we have some dignitaries here, and I would like to introduce them. So first of all, we have Reverend Dr. Bob Gale, who was the Chief Operating Officer of our entire movement Bob. We're happy to have you here. And we have Dr. Marilyn Leo, who lived famously behind Ernest Holmes, in the house behind Ernest Holmes, and she is now the archivist of our entire movement. Dr. Marilyn Leo. And we have Dr. J. Scott Neal, who plays Ernest in the famous film. And he is the minister of the Tri-City Center for Spiritual Living in San Jose. Dr. J. Yeah! And so now I would love to welcome everyone who is here for the first time, and I know there are some people here for the first time. If you would like information about our community, we have someone here from the membership team with little envelopes that have information about us, and if you fill out the blue card and give it back to Galen, you get a free book about our philosophy, a little tiny book. You can read it in an evening. It's very informative and fun. So all you have to do to get all that is raise your hand. So anybody here for the first time, right there, welcome. And just keep your hands up if you would, and Galen will get to you. There's 3 in the back, Galen. And welcome. I love it that you're here. So our theme for this whole year is values. And the values that we have been looking at throughout this whole year are ones that we have to actually live. You know, if you see all the values in that cloud up there, they're nice to think about. Yeah, they're really nice to think about, but living them is what we really need to do, deciding, committing, and then following with action. That's what I say every single week, and I try to do it, actually, and I hope you do too. The November theme is living in abundance. So because this is the first Sunday with rain coming down, and I want you to know that Bodie planned that song a week ago, and then, you know, how wonderful it is. So we have this blessing of the rain that we do every first rainy Sunday. So this is, and everybody's so happy. So this is how we do it. When I face you and I do something, you do that, and I'll rotate, so everybody does the same motion, and then I'll start at the beginning again and do something else. So when I face you with my little hand things, you do what I do, but don't look at me so much as listen to the storm that we're making, because we're blessing the rain, okay? Here we go. Listen. Isn't that wonderful? So we bless the rain. Give ourselves a hand. So also in the theme of living in abundance, I'd like to honor Janet's altar this morning. Janet chose to do an altar based on Native American contribution to our land and their interaction at the time of Thanksgiving. Remember that story, the Pilgrims and the Indians? There is sacred corn from one of Janet's teachers that she has saved over the years, and then I've saved it for years after that. So, and the leaves are from her neighborhood. Beautiful, beautiful altar of Thanksgiving. So that's abundance. But now I would like to introduce to you our gift of abundance in so many ways. The founder of our community, Reverend Dr. Lloyd George Tupper, is he's a magnificent example of abundance in action. Abundance of all good, just like God, really. Love and prosperity and beauty and all of that. And so, yeah, beauty. So without further ado, please welcome Reverend Lloyd.
Love you.
Let me just take this. Just take this. Oh, that's you. Yeah. Thank you, baby. Thank you.
Good morning. And I am Lloyd Tupper. And I'm a practicing religious scientist.
Yeah, the microphone, Lloyd.
My microphone. Oh, yes. Shin, I should have little angels bringing me things. I'm a practicing religious scientist, and this is my 50th year. Yes. And I thought for a profound talk this morning, because of all these dignitaries and my beloved Sue Ruda, who has produced this wonderful film you're going to see on the life, the mind of Ernest Holmes. I was going to say something else, but that comes later. So anyhow, I know you're going to feel at home here because I'm going to make you feel at home here. Somebody asked me yesterday at a memorial, would I treat for rain? Naturally, anything that occurs that is desired, I should be credited for. So, little did I know that I hadn't arranged to be picked up yet, and when I did get picked up, thank God, I was able to stand under a covered awning of sorts, but I got drenched. But I'm here, and you're here, and we are the people that are changing the world. And how are we doing that? By thinking. So my topic this morning is who, what, and why you are, I am. And I'm making a tribute to Ernest Holmes, who became my dearest and most wonderful and loving friend, to a former Catholic who had spent the first, 30-some years wandering in the wilderness. And then it happened. A friend of mine told me that he wanted to take me to a Easter Sunday service, and I said, oh no, I could never do that. And he said, why not? And I said, because in my faith, if you go to a Protestant church, it's a mortal sin. And if I die on my way home, I will go directly to hell. And I know a lot of you have heard this story, but here's what my friend said. Well, judging from where I see you living, you won't have far to go. And that was the first hook. So I had to enter into religious science very hesitantly. I was nervous. I thought that I was entering a cult, but nothing compared to what I read in the first chapter of the Science of Mind textbook. The thing itself. Now, you're talking to a Catholic that's just making the transformation here. The thing? God is a thing? And I immediately wanted to bolt. But I didn't because, frankly, my life was so filled with so much guilt and so much unknowingness and so much conditioning. And it wasn't just because of the Catholic Church. It was my mother, who was from Sicily. And she was a wonderful woman, and I loved my mother, but sometimes I didn't really like her as a young person. And when I told her I had found this new wonderful philosophy, and it was teaching me, unlike Rumi said in that saying, whoever you are. I know who I am. And by the end of this talk, you will have an opportunity to know who you are. Hi, Dana. So my mom said to me, well, if you feel that you need to hide behind some new haughty philosophy, that's a typical wonderful saying of my mom, then go for it. So, of course, I must tell you, I had put on my bathroom, in the bathroom of our home, I ripped out all these pages from a book that I had bought, and it said, you know, good morning, you are God's perfect child. You know, all the wonderful things that we wish from birth, when you can't even open your eyes. Your parents say to you, you are the beloved, in my case, Son of God. You have come to give not hope, but inspiration to the race. You are, you know, all the wonderful things that we now know when a child is born. Now, for example, people say, well, you say that you can do healings. I don't see anybody walking on the water. I don't see anybody making water into wine. Well, I've known a few people when they've had some wine that try to do that, but it doesn't work. And my comeback for that is, had I been a child who was expected and who had 12 years of being told that he was the Son of God and that he could do all things, and he was the promised Messiah. Remember, Jesus was born into a Jewish family, and that he was going to save the world. Well, and then I go on an 18-year tour of all the great mystics and the spiritual self-realized beings of the world for 18 years, and I come back, and in 3 years, I do all these miracles. And then, of course, we know about the transition from Jesus in the human form to the spiritual realm. We do, don't we? Okay. That didn't happen to me. Nobody told me that. And I didn't get to travel till I was much older. And I didn't travel on a camel. But then I got Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Bacher, who was one of our really major powerhouse speakers, next to J. Scott Neal, of course. But anyhow, I met Raymond in February of 1968. I came into religious science in April of 1967. And one of the first questions that Raymond Charles Bacher said to me, standing out in front of town hall, he said, "Who are you?" Do we have competing show going on here? Oh, okay. What is it? It's a walk-on from another realm. Yes, those walk-ons, they always bug me. Anyhow, so he asked me who I was, and at the time in February, I gave him a recitation of a really depressed, kind of lost in the woods kind of guy, and he started mumbling. And I've told this story several times, so for those who have heard it, please indulge me. But I wouldn't begin to ask him what he was mumbling about, because he was really a tall fellow, very big, and, pontificating. So I thought, well, he's praying. I'm not going to say a word. Then I thought, well, he has an affliction. Like that, he never said it out loud so I could hear it. So after I had taken some courses with him, and I was flying from San Francisco to New York on the overnight, what is it called? The red eye. I kind of got to know him, and I could tell he kind of decided to take me in and father me in the way that I needed to be fathered. And so he would say to me, when he asked me who I was, and I started saying all those negative things, he was saying, not a word of truth in it. Not a word of truth in it. Not a word of truth in it. So as I was affirming what I wasn't, or what I wanted, I wasn't saying what I want to be, I was saying what I have been. He was denying it and getting it out of the law of mind that we all understand in our philosophy that sets us free. Because as Jesus said, for those of you who love Jesus, and I hope you do, he was kind of a nice guy, Jesus said, the truth will set you free. So when people say to me as a minister and a practitioner, oh, I love practitioners, they set you free. If you don't have one, get one. Absolutely get one. If you're going to be in this philosophy, get a practitioner who tells you the truth until you know the truth and you can set yourself free. But then there are slow learners like me. After 50 years, I still have one. Guess what? I fall into that trap of the racial consciousness. And it says I'm not who I am. And I have to refute that and say I am the beloved Son of God. I'm not an accident biologically because I didn't show up here biologically. I showed up here as an individualization of God in the form of spirit. And then I got an inspiration without any reality consciousness of where I was to clothe myself in the elements of the earth. I am a spirit that is in a human form that came from the earth. Now, I want you to remember this. And when anybody or anything, especially your subconscious, says that's nonsense, you say, not a word of truth in it. It isn't nonsense. You are a spiritual being as you came here, and you will be a spiritual being when you leave here, and that will take the sting of death away. No one dies, Ernest Holmes said. He had done too many funerals and met them there. Think about that. So as I began to get a little certainty in my life, I then was taught by my teachers, my practitioner. I had two then. I needed two. I had one for my personal life and one for my business life. It didn't dawn on me they might meet and homogenize, but anyhow, I told you, I had a lot of baggage. I had 33 years of baggage. So I had to unlearn a lot, and I needed a teacher that was like me, that tells the truth, no matter how much poor sense it makes, humanly speaking. So this is a what, who, what, and why lecture, because this is what Ernest Holmes wrote about. So I've defined who I am. I'm an individualization of one infinite life that is in a human body that has developed a personality called Lloyd George Tupper. That's who I am. I'm not a mere human. I don't accept it. There's not a word of truth in it. And neither are you. So no more hiding behind your humanity. So who, what? What are you? I have finally discerned, after 50 years, I'm still working at it, that what I am is a manifestation for the all-originating spirit, which we usually call God, to know itself individually. Because the universe can never become the individual, or it wouldn't be the universe. So we have a universal essence, a universal presence, and that is God, and it depends on what I do with that knowledge that defines me as a success or a failure in this thing called life. Now, there's a lot out there to support your being a failure, or what I like to call in my work with my clients, a ne'er-do-well person. To hell with ne'er-do-wellness. You're all ne'er-do-well until you decide who and what you are. Now, people might say things to you, oh, that's too good to be true. And you say, oh, it's not too good to be true. It's wonderful that it's true, and I am wonder-filled with it. Now, don't ask what your neighbor thinks, because they might tell you. And I had to do that in the beginning, because, of course, as I got started to get released from the bondage of my first 33 years, and I started determining, thanks to Ernest Holmes, who and what I was, things started to move in the right direction. And I started getting inspiration way beyond my humanness. And the greatest inspiration I got was to become a minister and share my truth with as many people who would listen. I didn't have to make them be who they were, because if I told them the truth, they would be set free from the bondage of racial belief, and they wouldn't have to look at Rumi, who I love, by the way. You know, there's a place out there beyond right and wrong. I'll meet you there. That one I accepted. But whoever you are, you have to answer that question. That was the last stanza of what we were singing about Rumi. Who are you? And that's what Raymond, when I finally decided to go into the ministry, he'd line us up. There were about 14, 15 people, including Louise Hay and Reverend Ike and me. Me. Little old Catholic turning into a religious scientist, me. And he'd come by and he'd say, who are you? And you'd have to give that recitation. I am an individualized center of God consciousness. I have a purpose here to express the universal on the plane of the particular. And I particularize the nature of God so that God can remain in the universal and run the universe, and I am here to run the earth and my life in it, and anyone who will listen to me. Good, Lloyd, sit down. And that's how it started. And then I had to answer the question, why are you? Who, what, and why? And then that was the tough one. Because if you answer who you are and what you are, you have to answer the question why you are. And it's simply answered this way. There is two laws in this creative process if you think. And the creative process demands you to think. And that's what we learn here. How to think beyond the survival. Beyond survival. Humanity is born into survival. Without our mother, to be conceived as an infant and clothed in the elements of the earth that our mother has within the womb. And if we're born, and when we're first born, since we're not told since the beginning of our conscious development who we really are, we have to determine that there must be something missing. And Ernest Holmes introduced that something, and it's called involution. There's evolution on the mastery scale. Everybody is affected by it, even if they don't know it. But what changes the person who lives in mere existence to living is involution, which the short word for is involvement. You have to become involved in your spiritual unfoldment. You have to stand boldly and declare the truth. You have to raise the dead of feeling and inspiration. There are a lot of dead right people walking around this earth. And I'm sure there are people who, well, one person left, so maybe I'm holding the others, that will leave, get up and leave. This is too good to be true, or more impolitely, this guy is weird, and he's off his rocker. All things of that are true too. But I'm a happy, weird, off my rocker person. My bills are paid, except when I indulge in luxuries like a new lawn or something, and then I pay him, but it takes 2 months. But I pay him because I know who and what I am, and I know basically, using Jesus again, because I was greatly influenced by Jesus as a young boy, that I am an heir to the kingdom of God. And if I don't take it, if I don't present my credentials, guess what? I continue to exist. So when I wanted to go from who I was to what I was to why I was, I read a book by Thomas Troward, and he said, why I am, now this is it, hold on, is to give God an expression of its unique essence as me. I couldn't believe it. And I have to tell you, for years, I didn't, because Raymond Charles Barker died, and I had not been conferred on it. And Ernest Holmes had died. And I kept thinking, if only they had lived, so I could ask my questions. Now, we all have questions. Every person sitting here this morning has a question about this that I'm saying. And what I'm fulfilling right now is a scriptural saying that as you are an ordained minister or a practitioner, or anybody, it can be good for anybody. Our function is to stir up the gift of God within the people. And let that, like those snowball things, you turn over when you go to the Statue of Liberty, and then you turn it upright, and let all of that stuff tinkle down. And guess what? It whispers to you. And it says, you are my beloved, in whom I am well pleased. And the good thing is this. Here it comes. There's no St. Peter, and God has no memory of anything the opposite of its nature. How's that? Nothing is remembered by the infinite mind of God, the essence of spirit, about anything that's opposite its nature. So if you go around, that's why it says the sun and the rain fall on the just and the unjust alike. So tell me today, what is your excuse? Thinking. We have to think. And the science of mind, philosophy, and its spiritual component, centers of spiritual living, support us in thinking. Practitioners remind us of who we are, which is why I said you should have one. And I've never known a practitioner that turned any sincere student away for lack of funds to pay them. So that excuse is out. So when they remind us of who and what and why we are, we start to develop a different state of consciousness. Now that's a buzzword, consciousness, that we use in this work. But it comes down to this. If I consciously, which is my spiritual component, think a thing is so, it goes into what is referred to as my soul. That thing that flies away when you're supposed to die, it has wings and goes forward. You remember that, don't you? All right, forget the wings. It goes into, everything I'm conscious of goes into my soul. So when I leave this plane of life, my spirit goes forward and my soul goes forward. And unlike here, when we enter that next realm of life, because no one ever dies, right? No one ever dies. And why do I say that? Because if you believe in death, you die daily. So get rid of that stupid thought. No one ever dies. And I did a memorial yesterday, but I couldn't say to them, that's a stupid thought. That would have been impolite. But it is a stupid thought. We don't die, we transcend to an evolving level, higher intelligence, higher intelligence, higher intelligence. And when do you get to heaven? Every day. Because you wake up and you think, I am the son or daughter of the beloved. And they don't know all the rotten things I did all my life. And they can't, because they cannot know the opposite of its nature. God is the principle of life, expressed through love, expressed through health, expressed through wealth, and expressed through happiness. And that's it. We have those four elements working for us. They are the rock pillars of what we believe: health, wealth, love, and happiness. Robert Bitzer says health, wealth, happiness, and love. So if you get love, you have happiness, and if you have happiness, you can experience love and all that involves. Now, is that too good to be true? You're awfully quiet this morning. You're supposed to say, no! There you go. And you know why it's not too good to be true? Because you're just like me. Give me the truth. Tell me the truth. Just tell me the truth. When I get on a practitioner call and somebody is going down that road, you know, on the road to a Calvary, what is it, the Via Dolorosa, and they got the cross, and Simon hasn't shown up yet. So they're really dragging that cross. I say to him, you want to know who you are? Do you want to know why you are and what to do with all that? Then put the cross down, sit on the side of the road, get a cold beer, and I'm going to tell you. And if you don't drink, get a cold Pepsi, diet preferably. So I'll tell you who you are. And you know what? That person doesn't just transcend because they're so happy. They don't just, vaporize. They still have memory, but truth overcomes memory. It's not something we created. It's a revelation of who you really are, and then you put together why you are. You aren't the spiritual being you are to sit around all life and never do anything with it. That's existence. You want to live, and you want to live your life fully. You want to be like Sue Ruda, who's, at 61 doing these incredible premieres because she's an ageless, deathless beingness. There is no death, there's no age. Sure, biologic, you can't believe it, but I'm going to be 80. I get a lot of measure out of that, and there's certain people here that are 83, and I know them. But age doesn't matter to me anymore. When I go to sleep at night in my home on Cape Cod, I think once in a while I watch MSNBC. Well, I only do that now because I will own up to this. I was a Charlie Rose devotee. And I watched him from 11 to 12 every night, and then I went to bed, and I felt totally informed. I didn't know about the other side of, like we all have an other side. But fortunately, I wanted to write him and say, guess what, Charlie? The world may know you've been doing a little tinkering where you shouldn't, but God doesn't. So live up to who you are. And your penance is to go forth and do good works. And I'll close on that. What am I? I am a person that goes forth under admonishment by none other than, again, I do rely on Jesus because I was raised a Catholic, but I have all the other prophets and Isaiah is a great friend of mine, that says, like Isaiah says, I speak my word and it shall not return to me void. And what is the word that you speak? Not Janet, not Sue or Ron or Sarah or Paul sitting over here. You didn't show up for 80 years, after he left. Oh, I've got to put that out there. He's a guest here today, and a very beloved guest that everybody is soon getting to know. But that's another sermon, and I'll talk about that later. But where was I? I got to wind up. All I want to say to you is, if you're in this philosophy, even if you aren't, get that envelope. If you're here for the first time, is the book What We Teach that's in the envelope? All right. Find out what we do, what we teach, and then join a class. If you're broke, see Carol. She's going to teach a course on abundance in 4 weeks. See Janet. She's a wonderful practitioner. See Leslie. Oh, I remembered your name, see? And talk to Ed, who passed away. He's gone forward. He knows all the hot spots on the next plane. We'll keep Ed posting. What about Sarah and Francine and Sue? Oh, boy, I'm going to leave one out, and then I'll be in. All right. You all know who your practitioners are. They have this white thing on. They don't give me that, see? You have the white thing. You're pure. They know about me. I'm adulterated. But anyhow, I've been in the world almost 80 years. I didn't come into religious science. I'm a late bloomer till 33. It took me at least 20 years to figure out that I could accept who and what and why I am. But when I did, there was nothing stopping me. And I'm here to tell you this morning, your past doesn't exist. You will find your way home and to your car. But that's it. And then you have to start telling the truth. And as you tell that truth, you will be resurrected into the present moment, to quote Ernest Holmes, of infinite privilege. And what is that privilege? To speak, to direct the law of mind based on the fact you know who you are, you know what you are, and you know why you are. And if you momentarily forget, call a practitioner. Don't bother Carol, because she's on a honeymoon. And that's as much as I'll say. Leave her alone for a while. And on that note, I am done. Good morning.
So, would the practitioners please surround the room? So we have a little surprise for you.
Oh,
Yep.
somebody beautiful, sensual, and
Well,
alive.
well, we'll speak.
willing.
We'll speak the truth about that later. The practitioners. Look at your practitioners. Many of these wonderful, wonderful people you have trained, but
I'm giving birth to. I'm starting to feel it right down in here.
yeah. Okay. We recognize that you have been in this philosophy for 50 years.
Oh, thank you.
And that you have changed lives for 50 years. And there is nothing that we could give you that is the equivalent of what you have given us. But we have something that when you look at it, I hope you remember these people today who love you beyond measure.
Oh my God, what is it?
So your community has given you this. You can open it up and see what it is. There's,
You open it up.
Okay.
You're better at that.
okay.
Oh my gosh, a vase. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's telling me truth.
So it says Reverend Lloyd George Tupper, D.D., founding minister of the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, in gratitude for 50 years of service. And this is what you gave him. Isn't this wonderful?
Thank you.
So
That's a chunk of glass, isn't it?
it is.
Wear that.
So we'll leave this up here, and this little ritual that we have planned for you is these practitioners are going to say one word about what you have given them and how their lives are different and better because of it. And I want you to imagine, Lloyd, that there are 100 people lined up behind each one of these practitioners that represent a fraction of the lives that you have changed.
Thousands. Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands, yes. So we'll start with you, Francine. One word.
Truth. Thank you. Humor. That's important, yes.
Joy.
Joy. Okay, good. Wisdom. Oh, yes. I have gray hair. I have wisdom. Thank you, love. Experience. Thank you. Do I have a sense of humor? Yeah, I do.
What, and Louise? Vision.
Compassion. Thank you.
Authenticity, spiritual authority, beauty, mentor, dedication.
Thank you.
And
All of
for
you. Thank
me,
you.
it's family.
Oh, yeah. She's my family. And since we're speaking of truth, she has been immaculately conceived twice because we have 2 children, and they are my godchildren. And now we have this wonderful Paul, who is coming 80 years later after Jesus, and he is going to write epistles in Corte, going through the Corte Canal to places that Madam has chosen without asking how much it costs. So
Well, that's a mystery. So we'll take this. Here, I'm going to help you down here.
Okay. I had 2 knees replaced, an ankle replaced, an arm replaced. I fell down a flight of stairs. Now, isn't that dumb? And I lied there for 18 hours
Okay.
and decided that I'm not through yet. I have people to talk to.
Rick. Oh, music. The practitioners, you may be seated, darlings.
Thank you.
Good morning. I invite the ushers to come forward. I wish that, well, first I want to thank everyone, Bodie, Stephen. Thank you for the music. Thank you, Reverend Lloyd George Tupper. Thank you for 50 years. Yeah. I would like you to infuse your gift with gratitude that we can be here in a place where you can know the truth about yourself without all that guilt. So, thank you. Would the ushers please collect the gifts?
You are received, you I give, together we share this we live. You I receive, you I give, together we share this we live. You I receive, you I give. Together we share this we live. You are received, you I give. Together we share this we live. You I receive, to you I give. Together we share this we live. I receive, you I give, together we share this. You I receive, you I give, together we share this. You I receive, you I together we share this meal.
This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is.
Darlings, the announcements, of course, begin with gratitude. And today, we're grateful for Jim Homa for setup. And back at the back there, woohoo, is, that was a drum roll, I guess, for the Giving Tree. This is the first Sunday that the Giving Tree is up, and we are grateful to Sophie for that holiday participation that we do every year. Bob Gordon on sound, Dave on video, Tom on streaming, Mary on PowerPoint, and the practitioners. There'll be others at the table there to give you a prayer. And if you don't have a practitioner, just sign one up. Janet for the wonderful altar, and Sechko, Mies, and Amanda for our wonderful music. And the Sunday team today, headed up by Paula, who did double duty because we're having the regular service and then we're having the movie. So Paula was in charge of all of that. And then our youth and family team over there by the fireplace. Thank you so much. Bodie made the fire this morning. And then our special person for gratitude today, I'd like to call up our president, Pat Sandry, for this. And I would like to just give thanks, well, for Reverend Lloyd, of course, for our wonderful founding minister. and a person that he referred to a few times in his talk, Sue Ruda. Sue Ruda is the producer of the film that we will see this afternoon. And this is only the latest of her passions that she has served in this community for years and years and years. I met Sue Ruda when I was a brand new minister here, and she was producing a high-end wedding with headsets on for all of the people, and they were coming out of doors here and across the swimming pool here. And that was years ago, and I thought, what a master of production. And then we got her. We got her for all these years, and she became a practitioner. She has served on just about everything. If she sees a need and it's not being filled, she will fill it. And so, Sue, would you come up here, please? For you as well, nothing could really say how much we love you. But please accept these roses.
Oh, wonderful. Just like a theater opening.
Just like a theater opening.
That's so gorgeous.
Oh, you are a treasure. Yes. Oh, you have more to say. What?
Don't forget to say we're the only center of spiritual living where you have a glass of champagne before you leave.
Yes. He tells me what to do all the time. So next announcement is about the Science of Earnest Mind film, which will be shown here in about 45 minutes. We'll have the regular end of service snacks, and then we'll clear those out, and we'll have really fancy snacks with champagne. And so if you are, we hope you stay for the movie. What else? It's a rainy day, and this is a really fabulous film. So that will begin 45 minutes to an hour from now, after we have our champagne and our little lunch snacks and talk about how snazzy we all are and how marvelous this film is for the movement, because Sue is giving it to the movement, and she already has orders from other churches. So isn't that fabulous? Next, I am giving a class called New Topics in Prosperity. If you do not have the relationship with money that Reverend Lloyd talked about, if you can't buy something, not because you don't want it, but because you can't afford it, you know, the whole purpose of being happy with your money is to be able to purchase the things that your heart desires and to share at a level that makes you thrilled. And if that is not your experience, please come to this 4-week class. It starts on Tuesday. You can sign up at the education table right over there. Next, Sagittarians. You darling Sagittarians, it's your birthday month. And so your spiritual community gives you a gift. Just come over to the practitioner table and fill out a spiritual checkup form. Call one of the practitioners on the back, and you can get a free practitioner session, and there is no better birthday gift. Next, the holiday craft fair is coming up on December 10th. If you are a craftsperson that has items to sell, be sure that you get with Sophie Fleming, because there is an application that you fill out, and then we're going to have like a little English country Christmas fair on the 10th of December. How cool is that? And so you can shop for all your family and yourself. Next, the Winter Solstice celebration is Wednesday, December 20th, and we're having that at the Learning Center. It is going to be mysterious and beautiful and dark, and the sun is going to be reborn, because it's really just a few hours before the actual solstice. So the darkest time of the year, the greatest mystery, when the newness is being born within us. Just like Lloyd said, we clothe ourselves in the elements of the earth, and we follow the seasons of the earth. And so this rebirth of the light is a chance for us to begin again. And so we only can hold about 50 people, so be sure you're on time. Next, we have a Christmas dinner, usually, because somebody like you invites people to their home. So if you would like to be the host of our community Christmas dinner, you usually provide the main dish, and everybody else provides the sides. And because it's at your house, you get to say when it is and how long it is. So if it is you, please let us know. Homeward Bound Christmas Giving Tree, as I said, is right back here in the back. This is everybody's favorite part of Christmas because we get to buy gifts for children that might not get any if it were not for us. So please visit the giving tree in the back. And finally, if you are shopping at all this Christmas, please sign up for eScript. Is Maria here today? Okay. She'll be here probably next Sunday and help you if you're not already on that. So I believe that's it. And so my blessing for you this Thanksgiving weekend is for you to find, even today, more things to be grateful for, because always Spirit guides your way. Please stand now for our affirmation and closing song. Right up here. I honor the heritage of my spiritual tradition. Ernest Holmes, Lloyd Tupper, and all my teachers live in my heart and are revealed through my word and action in the world. I am better because of them, and I am so grateful. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, loved ones all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.